What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a new year and the same goddamn podcast. That's right. Always going strong. Here with you once again, Francesca Fiorentini. Just sliding into this new year, looking like Goofy. In his pajamas. That's my new go-to outfit. Is just if it's soft and it's just if it, like layers. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Welcome. Really good to have you here. I hope your new year was good. Yeah, I went to bed at 10. And that was the first time I've ever gone to bed before midnight. But look, it was midnight somewhere, people. It was midnight. It's fine. But my new bedtime is 10 o'clock. You got to sleep when the baby sleeps. And my God, I'm struggling, but it's good. It's good. I'm so excited. Of course, I'm always excited. We haven't done a rundown of everyone who was on last year. It was a jam-packed year. So many great guests, so many great interviews. Hope y'all learned a lot. And we're starting this year off once again with amazing guests. Comedian Chloe Hilliard is here. Naveed Shah, the political director of Common Defense, which is a veterans movement fighting fascism in America. He is going to be joining us talking about January 6th. What do veterans think? The veterans who weren't necessarily part of the riot, the veterans who saw that and were like, hey, I didn't fight for that kind of country. So I'm very excited to have Naveed here and learn all about what veterans are doing, and specifically with this new Congress coming through. What are the openings? We're about 2 years from that Capitol riot. It feels like it was yesterday. Yes. If you didn't notice, that is new intro music, and it is courtesy of the one and only DJ Real, a good friend, not Kevin MacLeod. Kevin, if you're out there, don't sue me. Kevin, you still have the fart song, but DJ Real has to take the lead. I love that. I love the new music. If you don't like it, I don't care. Just remember to give this podcast 5 stars on iTunes, to like and subscribe right now. If you're on Twitch, what up? If you're on YouTube, hey-o. And of course, if you're a patron, that's right. Every goddamn week, including this week, including today, when we're going to be talking about Bolsonaro in a KFC in Orlando. How the mighty have fallen. Oh, God. Bolsonaro, former president of Brazil, yes, is in Florida, and President Lula da Silva is once again back in power. So I want to talk about that in the bonus episode. Make sure you are a patron, patreon.com/Bitchuation room, to get that in your ear holes, in your eye sockets, and all the things. Of course, you get 20% off of all merch. I didn't do a big merch push at the end of last year, but I'm doing it now. You guys, we got tote bags. We got 2 different types of shirts. We got ladies fit and men's fit, I believe. I think they're pretty similar. We got stickers. We're working on bitch caps. And also, if you don't know, we're going to be live in San Francisco for SF Sketchfest with Nato Green, comedian and frequent guest here on the Bitchuation Room, as well as John Idarola of The Damage Report, the Dragon Daddy himself, and Mr. Robert Evans, the host of the Behind the Bastards podcast. That's right. It is an all-white guy dream team, you know? I'm carving out space for the marginalized voices of men that take up a lot of space, generally. But they're going to be great. It's going to be so good. I think we're going to do some stand-up. It'll be lovely. You come out, get tickets, and you will, if you can't be there on that Tuesday, if all goes according to plan, you can watch it back, so do not worry. And you can also tip this show, you guys. Hey, support this show and our shoestring budget and my little, like, milky baby brain, literally milky baby brain, because that's all I do is nurse and take care of my adorable fucking child. I know everyone thinks their child is cute. My child is cutest. The cutest. So cute. Very full of poo. Very full of milk. But anyway, if you want to support the show and tip it, TBR-Live on Venmo, TBR Live on Cash App. And with that, thank y'all for being here. Let's get into it. The first week. Oh, what are we talking about? Wait. We're going to talk about Kevin McCarthy and not getting enough votes to be speaker as we speak. If you're from the future, don't tell me he eventually gets the votes. And we're going to be talking about the greatest story, perhaps of all 2022 that slid right under as the door was closing, as the days were counting down, involving my favorite, Miss Greta Thunberg. Yes. And of course, talking to Naveed, and stay tuned because we got our ins and outs of 2022 to 2023. What's in now and what is out in this year. But first, what are you guys bitching about? New music. Damn it. I almost had that. Imagine this works. Fuck. New music. Here we go. Ignore what it says below. Fuck that up. All right. What are y'all bitching about, you guys? Hey, here's one. Remember how it was the holiday season and everyone pretty much bought shit on Amazon? And if you didn't, you probably did. And if you're a new parent like me, you definitely did, because that's how we survive. Well, here was a story, not the first of its kind. Amazon workers at Den 4 in Colorado said an elderly worker died on the job on 12/28 after returning from a medical leave. And instead of shutting down the area, Amazon managers stacked boxes around the body until a coroner could arrive so they could keep working through it. And there is an account of someone who is writing, and I believe this is an image of their tablet, saying, last night on shift, an employee died. When I arrived at 6:30 this morning, I saw fire trucks, an ambulance, police department still at the facility. Not knowing why they were there, we all went in and clocked in and started to work. That's when we found out from a night shift employee, not from management, that someone had died and the person was still at the facility. Again, not management. The emergency response team was doing an investigation, and the coroner had not retrieved the body. There were some employees who were less than 10 feet away from the deceased, who was covered, working. I cannot even begin to say how upset and angry I am at the disrespect for human life from Amazon and our general manager, Nick McKean. Yes, we're naming names. Are you saying you can't even shut down the facility long enough to finish an investigation? Is money so important that you are literally walking over a dead body to make you more money? It's not enough working 5 days a week, 12-hour days for a month, and then switching us to 6 days a week, 10 hours a day for a month. What the actual fuck is wrong with this picture? As of lunchtime, when I left, senior management still had not addressed our department. That is heinous. That means, so no leadership. I mean, we're also on the other side of Roger Goodell not shutting down a football game for an hour after someone was maybe clinically dead for 10 minutes. But that's a different story. Same shit. Oh, you trying to make money? There's maybe a dead body. Yeah. Keep working. Oh, no, this is going to be time off task. If you look at the dead body, time off task. So all this to say, we've known Amazon. This is not the first time Amazon's done this. My heart goes out to this person's family. My heart goes out to those workers. I can only imagine coming back from medical leave, which I wonder if that was paid medical leave, but clearly it wasn't long enough if this person then died was not able to work. Obviously, I'm jumping to conclusions. We don't know what actually happened, if it was related to the medical condition that they had previously. But I'm sure working the floor at a warehouse didn't help. I know I'm going to be called crazy, but I think we should nationalize Amazon. That's the only course of action. Why? Well, because it's just a platform. It's literally a marketplace. It is a platform. You buy and sell things, and hundreds of thousands, millions of vendors are there. The only difference is it wouldn't be stacked and rigged in Jeff Bezos's favor. You wouldn't have to buy sponsored placements, et cetera, and workers wouldn't be forced to work next to dead bodies. They might actually get paid. Yeah, you might have a Amazon 3-day Prime instead of 2-day, to account for people actually being able to pee on the job. Or I don't know, like the drivers in Amazon delivery trucks might get like a full break and not be docked if they don't get all their packages out in time. That'd be on us, right? We'd have to deal with that. But at this point, it is too big. It is too big. It's got to be broken up, would be a step. It's got to be fucking nationalized is what it is. It is at this point a utility. It is ubiquitous. Everyone uses it and is on it. Yes, I believe in boycotts. I think that is important. I think I will take the lead of whatever workers would like. I think that's the next step. But what's actually going to make change is nationalizing this shit. Yeah. And then people, is it going to be like, the USPS? USPS is going strong, y'all. Don't hate. USPS is going strong. All right? You know who's been working this whole time? Your mailman or mail lady or mail person. Sorry. Anyway, that's all I have to say about that. Fuck Bezos and his motherfucker's trying to get to Mars. He cannot even deal with someone dead on the shop floor. Evil. You're evil. Sorry. You suck. Anyway, that's it for what I'm bitching about. And to tell me what she is bitching about, my guest for the hour is a comedian, TV producer, and author of the award-winning book, Fuck Your Diet. Please welcome Chloe Hilliard. Chloe. I'm unmute you. Unmute yourself.
I'm unmuted.
Okay. Yeah. What's going on?
How are you? I'm good.
I'm good. Good to see you, Chloe.
Same.
It's been a while, but you've been very busy.
Yes, it has been a while, and I'm getting nostalgic because, I did a live stream show during the pandemic, and I'm so glad to see you still plugging away because we need to hear these amazing voices, these independent voices, because as you see, everything is an incestuous shit show.
That's true. Exactly. And you're not part of it. No,
No.
I appreciate that. I haven't given up yet. It helped that the Bitchuation room was around before the pandemic. So I was like, all right, let's keep it going. But it's so good to have you back. I don't think you've been on since March when I was in New York.
Yeah.
Days before the live show, days before I got COVID. We were talking about, like, I think it was like REI trying to unionize with like really sort of fake progressive language, among a lot of other things. But Chloe, today, it's been almost a year. What are you bitching about? I know things have been good, but let's start the year off right.
Yeah, you know what? It's so interesting. So politically, I kind of tapped out, and I understand why dumb people are happy now because they just don't have to worry about a lot of things. And it is a little like it is a little weight off your shoulders because you aren't bogged down with the minutia of everything. And everything is like doom and gloom. And I remember my grandmother, rest her soul. This is when I was a young kid and I grew up in the church. And I remember going there, but like, this is like the 90s. And I was like, Grandma, everything is going bad. And these are the last days. And she was like, Chloe, we've been talking about the last days since I was a little kid. And I'm 60 something now. So chill out and relax. And that has kind of been like my mantra because I think a lot of times we take on so much negative energy. How can we do this? How can we do this? And the truth of the matter is, and you know this covering these stories, people are corrupt. And so it's not even about like appealing to the masses or the heart or the soul and the morality of people because it's all about greed and money. So I am trying to be dumb and happy for 2022.
So you're not bitching about anything. You're just like, you know what? You're not going to hold me back from my ignorance. I choose to
A
be,
cocoon. I'm in a
yeah,
cocoon.
I think that that is a good attitude. I try with this show, and generally, if you guys obviously haven't picked up on it by now, by being like the little bit of sugar with the medicine, like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, we're going to talk about Kevin McCarthy and, the speakership of the House, and that's wonky as hell. But also we need to like add some joy and make fun of it and talk,
Yeah,
and talk about random things.
absolutely. Yeah, and I think for me, it's all about like controlling what you can control, right? And so making sure that your like little space, your little grain of sand in the vast universe is pleasant and happy. So it's about like taking care of like your home decor, making sure that your space where you rest is like rejuvenating and warm and calm, like all these things that we don't forget about. Because it's hard enough to go out into the world and the world is hard and angry, and then come back home, you still have all that energy. So I try to like
Mm.
make sure that my space, my interactions, I create environments around me socially with friends and family that is reaffirming and positive instead of like negative, negative. So it's been hard because I used to be on here every week being like, everything is crazy, burn it down. And I still have that in me, but I also understand on a day-to-day basis, it takes a lot of people to want to unify and burn everything down. And until
Right.
everybody's on that same page, you're just going to keep sacrificing yourself. So stop sacrificing yourself, find your peace, unionize with people who are of the same mind. And when it's time to go, go.
Right. I'll be over here creating like a little mystical corner with my crystals and my incense.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you guys say we're at the barricades, I'll be right there. I'm just going to
Be
light a
right
little
there.
bit of
Yeah.
sage and then I'll get over there. I
Yeah.
like that attitude. I think in revolution, everyone has a role to play. And I think comedy is part of that. I think, and happy people is part of that. Like, how can we build a new world?
Mm-hmm.
How can we envision a new world if we ourselves, and the internet is prime place for this, are just miserable ass people that like to tear other people down?
Yeah.
That is the essence of it. It's funny, and I don't want to get too off this, but I saved a tweet, and guys, I gotta read it to you because it sort of speaks to what Chloe has been saying, which is this person, St. Audrey says, the response to my tweet about being offline is the most online thing I've ever encountered. So she wrote a tweet about how her sister is offline, doesn't really do much, like is just kind of like isn't part of like the daily conversation. So
Mm-hmm.
she writes, my sister's so offline, unplugged, unbothered. She's been doing the massive New York Times end of the year crossword for 5 days. Right now, she's solving a Rubik's Cube. She just asked me if Gone Girl is a romance movie. So like all these things that are, I don't know if that, like, obviously last part's probably a joke.
Yeah.
But like, damn, my sister is so, in her own cocoon and is able to like enjoy life effectively. And she's sort of like shouting that out, like she's offline.
Yeah.
Someone
Yeah.
responded to her, so privileged to be so unbothered by a lack of money, food, healthcare, the environment, or queer rights being taken away, or not care that they're being taken away from others. There's nothing virtuous in pretending everything's okay, because for you it is. Now,
That's
listen, like,
it's a leap. That's a jump out the window. That's the problem. Why with engagement, you always invite people who think they know everything. And I think a major reason why we have what we have going on socially is because everybody thinks that they're an expert. Everybody thinks they
right.
know what's happening because they have a keyboard. And we used to live in a time when people were honest and they
And
would say,
Google.
you are not equipped to have this conversation.
Right.
You are not equipped to have this job. You're not equipped to talk about this thing because you don't have the experience, you don't have the education, you don't have the know-how, you don't have the like. So we don't put people in their place because it's like offensive to tell somebody, honey, you don't have the range. You don't have.
But I mean, and that's the other thing is like, again, everyone has a role to play. And I think this person responding to them, it's a response you see online all the time, which is like, oh, good for you. But some of us,
Yeah.
out here, it's the real world. It's like, out where? You mean in here? Or you're just listing really important causes? Yes, queer rights are being taken away. Yes, it's important, to fight for working class people. Yes, for labor unions. Yes, all of these things. But
Mm-hmm.
like, the response to the fascism is also can be joy, is also
Yeah.
can be being offline and out of the conversation, refusing to participate in some of the toxicity that I think the right especially really wants us to participate in. So like, and also the struggle is offline, y'all. Like the struggle is not, it's in the streets, it's in, you know, community meetings, it's in your neighborhoods, it's not on the internet. And I know we get those two things confused. So like, it just that made me think of like you being like, I'm going to create a nice space, and this
Yeah.
person's like, how dare you create nice space?
Because people invest in being miserable, and I think
Right.
that's a currency that we can, that's something that's very relatable, is like everybody's miserable. And
Yeah.
so especially, you know, being a Black woman in America, I understand misery, and it's been passed down to generation through PTSD from being chattel slavery to civil rights to assassination attempts to police brutality. So you constantly have to find that joy outside of the norm because you will be too depressed to get out of bed.
Right. Yes. I'm going to leave it there. Well said. And that being said, this is the Bitchuation room, and we always go negative. So Chloe, how dare you try
Okay,
to make our
I'll give
new
you
year?
one. I'll give you one.
Okay.
So I'm
Uh,
tired of seeing people having kids so that they can have content online. I don't want to see your
oh.
toddler. See, it's different. See,
Uh-huh.
you're a new mom and you're experiencing the joy of being a mom. But when you have a kid who's like reciting lines and the camera's always on them, it's like people, they need to create laws to protect children because a lot of these kids have lived their entire lives online and they're
Oh
not
my
happy
God.
about it, and the parents are generating income, and you're exposing your kids to like God knows what, because these images of them being in bath time with bubbles and no pamper on is going to
Mm.
live forever. So be smart when you have children. Don't just have kids so you can have content.
Yeah, totally. I won't do that when I'm not able to sell a script or get a job that I
Put
want.
it behind Patreon so that you know who's buying your content. You know what I'm saying? But
It's
just don't put it on
absolutely
TikTok and Twitter. Be smart about it, is what I'm saying. Be smart
no,
about
it's
it.
true.
But
The
also,
best thing
like,
to ever happen to us is to have grown up without the without the internet, honestly. Because like I'm so glad that like things I said as like a 12-year-old. Like if you can you imagine if I were on TikTok as at 11, I'd be like, yeah, I'm sexy. Yeah. And you're like, you're 11. You're like, I know. TLC is the best. Red light special. Like nobody
right?
wants to see. And
Yes,
that and you
exactly.
guys don't like that's Chloe, you know. That's what nobody wants to see that.
Nobody,
Nobody wants to see that.
nobody,
The 11-year
nobody.
old gonna be like in their just it's for them in their room.
But I think for me as a kid, right? So I remember Maya Angelou, she said a quote and she was like, children respond to how you react to them. So when a kid comes into a room, your child comes into the room and you don't greet them with a smile or a hi or a hug, they can feel that energy, right?
Mhm.
So now imagine every time a child goes up to their parents, they have their phone out being like, so what do you want for lunch? It's like,
Ooh.
what? I can't
And
trust
let's
you.
try that again. Let's try it
Yeah.
one more. Okay, oops, I was not recording.
Yeah, right.
You're like,
Exactly.
please.
And listen, I had so many awkward stages. Like I know this sounds crazy. I look the best I look now than I ever looked in my life, and I'm 42 years old. So I had a lot of awkward
Yes.
stages. I was definitely an ugly duckling. I was a late bloomer, all of those things. So if I can imagine me with braces and pimples, I had a mullet haircut in high school. It's too much to put out there.
I
I gotta
know.
hold on to some mystique, and you just have like my whole life archived like the Truman Show. Nope.
Okay, that's a thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you finding something to bitchuate about. Let's get into this week, guys. A lot happened, even though it's supposed to be sort of a slow week, the first week of the year, the last week of December. But it was not. In fact, a lot of things happened. So, legendary journalist Barbara Walters died. A journalist who was just a trailblazer for women. I think it's amazing that she got as far as she did, even without a litany of Me Too scandals, which we know makes every legendary journalist, you know, and she did it without touching. So far as we know, she did it with the robe on, you know, so that's like a huge hurdle.
Yeah, she's a pioneer.
Pioneer. Elon Musk has become the first person to lose $200 billion. The person who held the previous title for most money lost was Warren Buffett after his first burlesque show. God, he He was so confused, but the dancers got paid well. Okay, that was dumb. All of these are dumb. There are officially more strains of COVID than there are marijuana. I mean, like, that's not actually, but I believe there are more strains of
I was like,
COVID.
yeah, that sounds about right. I
You're
believe
like,
that.
yeah. The new one, which is making up about 40% of all the new COVID cases, is called the XBB1, which sounds like a Star Wars droid that yells freedom and coughs in your face. You can't do much else. Looks like the master of none, George Santos, will be sworn in after all. Again, the Republican from New York who's lied about everything. Republicans are just going to let that ride. And it just proves that if you lie repeatedly on your resume, you'll be unfit for Costco, but fit for Congress. Congress is pretty much the last place that, like, tax cheats, white collar criminals, and Me Too escape artists can still find work. Someone's got to employ them. It's either jail or Congress. Honestly, most of them are choosing Congress. This is great. Democratic Congressman Richie Torres is introducing a bill based on, well, you can guess, a bill called the Stop Another Non-Truthful Office Seeker Act, or the Santos Act, that would require House candidates to provide details of their backgrounds under oath. The Santos Act, based on George Santos. This would be like introducing an insider trading bill called the Please E-Trade Long-Owned Stocks Immediately Act, or the Pelosi Act. So good. And the House Ways and Means Committee released Trump's tax returns finally. They're full of clear tax evasion. They show he's got a bank account in China and that he paid zero tax dollars in 2020 because of supposed financial losses. It's no wonder, though, like, of all this, it's no wonder that Trump can't comprehend losing an election, because every time he loses, he just still ends up winning. You know what I'm saying? He can just declare ballot losses and be like, I'm the president. That almost worked. And finally, former Pope Benedict has been cut down in his papal prime at the tender age of 95. Say what you will about the former Pope. He covered up rampant molestation by the Catholic Church. He excommunicated a 9-year-old girl for having an abortion. He is still the first pope to have canceled himself. And, like, that takes a lot of guts and a whole lot of crime. So big ups to Benny up in where probably hell. All right. For everything else.
I was say, where do you think he's going?
I think we know where he's going. This is the week where. I fucked that up again. Okay, here we go. This is the week where. See, the other one's trying to do like a little, like Kevin MacLeod is trying to come back from the dead, even though I killed him and killed his music. And DJ Real. Anyway, we don't have to go in. Okay, so this is the week where Kevin McCarthy is seeking the nomination for Speaker of the House. Speaker of the House, very important right-hand person to the president, helps funnel legislation up and back from the Senate to the executive branch, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They can choose what is prioritized, what isn't prioritized, what's put up for a vote, what's not put up for a vote. And it looks like in the first time since the Civil War, we're going to a round 2 and maybe round 3 and maybe round 4 and who knows how many rounds, because Kevin McCarthy does not have the votes from his own party to clinch the nomination. So let's look at why the hell that is, what is going on. Again, it's going to get a little wonky, but hey, let them fight. What has unfolded over the last 2 months, according to CNN, is an all-out scramble for the speakership, which has taken the form of strategy sessions with close allies on and off Capitol Hill, intense negotiations over rules changes, and nonstop phone calls with members, even pro-McCarthy robocalls in some of the holdout districts. Hi, I always was for the coup. I'm Kevin McCarthy. Antifa attacked the Capitol on January 6th. No doubt about it. Anyway, I'm just imagining those robocalls. His team is hopeful that things will fall into place after they've released a final rules package late Sunday evening, which formalize the concessions he has agreed to, and are betting the opposition will fold on the floor. Oh, but you bet wrong. Chloe, not sure if you've been following. I wouldn't. If I were you, I would chill in your mystic corner or whatever fun space, a beautiful bathroom, whatever it is of your house. But Kevin McCarthy, we're on like, I think, vote number 3.
Mhm.
He has failed 2 votes. There are many Republicans, more than a dozen, who believe that Kevin McCarthy is not extreme enough. Now, you have to know that Donald Trump supports Kevin McCarthy. What do you think about that? Like, what does that signal to you that he is not as extreme? In fact, what is happening right now is that Jim Jordan, which is another representative, Jim Jordan, right? He is lobbying his party to vote for McCarthy, while at the same time, others are lobbying the party to vote for Jim Jordan. So it's like a hot potato nobody really wants, except Kevin McCarthy really wants to hold that goddamn potato.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like Dead Man Walking. It's like he has the stench of Trump on him. And now with all the stuff that's come out, now that the January 6th discoveries has come out, all 800 and something pages, people are like, oh, wow, if we just separate Trump from us, we can still keep going. I think that's what the Republican Party is trying to do. So they're trying to say, we believe in McCarthy because he's supposed to be a tried and true Republican. But you have these outliers, these extremists who are saying, no, he's not one of us. And the Republicans know that the small party, that small group of extremists have more Americans who are willing to do volatile acts in order to support their will. And so it's kind of like they're on a tightrope. And I want them to fight it out. I want them
Sure.
I want that infighting to just decimate the party and they have to come back anew. But they can't even do that because when they have the opportunity to get rid of like a George Santos, they won't even kick him out.
No,
So if
they
you
need
can't
his
even
vote.
yeah. So if you can't even like separate yourself from a bold-faced liar and bring back a little shred of dignity to your party, then y'all might as well just full on Jerry Springer fight it out.
Yes, absolutely. I want to see chairs flying. I want to see there. I mean, I do think the House of Commons is more fun because everyone's like, here, how dare you? There's a lot of
Yes.
that. But I think look, I got to hand it to McCarthy for walking a line between condemning Trump and Trumpism and the coup, but actually never condemning Trump or Trumpism or the coup. Like we all know that he was trying to get Trump to call off his dogs on the day of, but he's completely disavowed that he ever did that. You know, you got Marjorie Taylor Greene going like, did the Holocaust happen? What about the Jewish space lasers and all that shit? And Kevin McCarthy says nothing. George Santos, again, another point of like, there is no leadership. The leadership is leading from behind. And sadly, in the MAGA world, that is the most extreme person. I will just go wherever the most extreme person in the base, armed to the teeth. Yeah, will you vote for me? Cool. We'll just go along with that. But it is interesting. You wonder like what's going to happen. The sort of how this could shake down is far more complicated than I understand. But it seems like he probably at the end of the day will be voted in, but it could also fall to some obscure Republican no one's ever really heard of, some old crusty like Tales of the Crypt dude that they keep. He's basically in a jar at this point. Are like, hey, you want to be speaker? And he's like, yeah. I still don't understand that. Like, even though Hakeem Jeffries has more votes at this point, again, the Democratic leader, why that fool wouldn't just be president, like speaker? Why is he just not speaker? I'm sure the chat will correct me on this, and I know I don't understand enough, but I'm like, I understand they don't have the majority, but could it be Hakeem Jeffries? Would the Republicans fuck this up to the point where they would hand it over to Jeffries? We'll see. And who are those Republicans, right? 9 Republicans. There's more than that. They were not sold on all of, basically on what McCarthy promised to do. Some of the things that he promised to do would launch an impeachment inquiry into Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, vowing not to take up any bills from any GOP senators who back the massive year-end spending packages, both top priorities of the right. So can you imagine if you were a Republican and you voted for like much needed federal assistance to your state? I will not bring up anything that you that you want for a vote, like I will completely ignore that. Like imagine the disdain and the hatred of the American people to do that. Anyway, so these are the things he's offering them. He's like, yeah, and we're gonna start like a Jewish space lasers committee, Marjorie, and like, oh my God, Lauren, you can start up your failed restaurant shooters. You can start that up in the Capitol.
Yeah.
Every year on January 6th, we'll do a reenactment of the riots.
You know that's coming. You know that's coming. You know that is coming. In like 20, 25 years, that if we're still standing, that this is going to be a bunch of old beer belly white guys huffing and puffing up a small hill like they're storming the Capitol, wearing the
Who would you
American
want to
flag.
play?
Oh my gosh, I'm playing the actual guard who's like, I'm shooting these motherfuckers. I don't care what y'all tell me. I'm shooting them. We shooting them. They coming near me. I'm shooting them. We shooting them. Okay, is that because it's my job, right? Okay, go.
So good. You're just like, no, I'm the person who shot Ashley Babbitt. Sorry.
Yeah, yep. Doing my job.
That's amazing. All right, we have to move on, but we will see how this all shakes down. I don't know. Godspeed, Kevin, Big Kev, a Q Home Alone joke or something. Sorry, had to. My bad. All right, let's move on because this was just so good. This was the week where a 19-year-old Swedish climate activist named Greta Thunberg, I don't actually know how to say her last name, utterly destroyed a misogynist after he tweeted at her. Let's see how this unfolded. We're talking about, if you guys don't know, Andrew Tate. Now, Andrew Tate's one of those people where I'm like, I knew him. He took up like 0.3% of my brain, and then I just like, pew, I sort of excommunicated him from.
I saw him as like, he was the Kevin Samuels of incels, like white incels.
Right. I don't even know who that is. Great.
Kevin Samuels was a black guy who was telling women that they weren't top tier and alpha males need to be. It's like that. It's like that performative. And then he ended up dying because he was having sex with a younger woman. And he was like in his 50s. He had a rented apartment telling people that they need to have a house and be millionaires if they wanted to date a millionaire. And he was taking Viagra and he died alone after sex with a woman who was like, this old man died in my bed. And the writer was like, this is your king. This is a man that was giving y'all advice about how to be a strong alpha male in 2022. And he died in a rental property.
Of a heart attack from trying to get his 50-year-old boner up. We don't relish in death, but we kind of do. That one feels like, it was.
But Kevin Samuels is nowhere near Andrew Tate, because Andrew Tate was actually, as we found out,
potentially trafficking people. Yeah. So he is, basically a professional misogynist. And he has been using social media to spew his bullshit alpha male narrative. In August, he was barred from Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. He was also briefly barred from Twitter, but was reinstated on the platform where he has 3.7 million followers after Elon purchased the company in October. Ooh, fun. Oh my God, a new way to get out the message. So what did he do with his newfound or his reignited Twitter account? He tweeted at Ms. Greta Thunberg. Just unprovoked, if y'all didn't know, unprovoked, other than the fact that Greta's mere existence triggers the fucking right. They cannot hang with her. They wish they could come up to like her knees, right? They wish they had the fortitude, the integrity, the balls, the ovaries. Hello, Greta Thunberg. I have 33 cars. My Bugatti has a W16. I can't do his accent, but it's so weird. And it's like a quad turbo. My two Ferrari 812 Competizione have a 6 point. I don't give a shit. This is just the start. Please provide your email address so I can send a complete list of my car collection and their respective enormous emissions. And when I say emissions, I mean, you know what. And of course, Greta didn't miss a beat, picked up that, how desperate that sounded. And it was like, yeah, please do enlighten me. Email me. I just have to say, yes, please do enlighten me. Email me at smalldickenergy@getalife.com. Amazing. The most.
You know what I love about this whole thing is that, Greta is she's open about her autism, right? And so, you know, with autism comes a lot of things. I just imagine her tweeting that and then putting her phone down, being like, so I need to go to Michael's and get more like markers for my climate change post. She tweeted it and went about her life.
Right.
She didn't look, I feel like she set her phone down and then somebody was like, hey, Greta, do you know that the tweet you posted has like 4 million views? She was like, really? I'm about to go
I'm
protest climate
coloring.
change.
Yeah.
I'm making a new
Making a
sign. I have
sign.
the 16 of us, we're going to stand in front of the UN and protest. Like, well, I got things to do. And they was like, you should probably respond. And then she was like, got it. And send. And what about
exactly. She was doing that from the streets. No, it's true. There is like, she has that thing. I mean, look, Elon Musk claims that he's also autistic, so I don't know. I mean, but like, I do think there is a lack of giving a shit about what anyone thinks of you, and Greta absolutely has that. And she doesn't care about clout. She actually hates. I do think Greta is someone who hates her own celebrity, which is fascinating. Like, I think she has never wanted the climate movement to be about her. She never wanted to be a leader of this. She just said what she needed to say, and what she needed to say on that world stage was like, fuck all y'all. You know, I do not care. Do not make me like, stop with your like the flowery language, as she said. So you're totally right. And of course, because he does have small dick energy, Andrew Tate and Chloe, God, we have to give him notes on this. Here was his massive clapback to, this is chapter 2. We got to get through this pretty quick, but this is chapter 2 of this saga. Take a look.
And she replied by telling me her own email address. Greta's email address is, I have small dick energy. Why would that be your own email address, Greta? Strange. I mean, obviously I don't want to assume her gender. It's 50-50, but it is what it is. I'm not actually mad at Greta. Please bring me pizza and make sure that these boxes are not recycled. Thank you. So I'm not actually mad at Greta, right? Because she doesn't realize she's been programmed. She doesn't realize she's a slave of the Matrix.
I didn't see this. I only saw the still of him, but the fact that he was like, bring me my pizza and don't recycle it, it's like, bruh, you were just setting her up to dunk on you again. Like, why are you so ridiculous? And that accent is terrible. That sounds like the fake Madonna, like, I'm British, but I'm really from Detroit accent. Like, what is happening here? What is going on?
That's exactly right. Give me my pizza and don't make sure not to recycle the boxes. It's just so corny. You went all that way. You got props to make a don't recycle joke after pretending to not understand that she was absolutely dunking and owning you, and like all the retweets about the small dick energy thing proved it. Like, that's like the typical, like, I don't even get that joke. What? You have small dick energy?
Listen, you know, we as comedians, we have both experienced an Andrew Tate in the audience, someone who thinks that just because he has 2 nut sacks that he is funnier than us, and has no experience in comedy, wants to be like, I'm a man, I'm funny. Every man thinks he's funny, and I want to tell every man that's watching, you're not. You're not.
Yeah. Oh God. Oh man. I think every dude, especially a right-wing guys, watch that and we're like, oh, like they just took a step back and we're like, gulp. So that was the prop, and it was used to then track him. Now there's differing accounts as to whether it actually was used to track him, meaning the Romanian police might have already been looking for him. They just needed to know exactly where he was. But hey, just call Jerry's Pizza, scan the QR code, ask if anyone made a delivery to a massive compound with a ostentatious, I don't know, like little lions outside and weird fucking statues and with screams of people being held against their will, and you might find him. So in fact, they used that pizza box that he was claiming wasn't going to be recycled to locate him and raid his goddamn house. Yes, prosecutors said that local authorities carried out searches of homes they believe were connected to human trafficking and rape. The authorities said they were investigating whether the suspects created a criminal group in 2021 to engage in human trafficking in Romania. Now, none of that is funny, but we don't have the video, but he got.
We like to call this is a classic case of God don't like ugly. God don't like ugly, all you had to do was sit there and eat your little crusty pizza and mind your motherfucking business. But no, you had to speak up and say something. And good, because now you told on yourself and you have no one to blame but your ego. Your
Yes.
ego. And sex trafficking is a major problem and it's happening all over the world. We don't want to undermine that at all. But the truth of the matter is there's always someone who knows that someone like an Andrew Tate is doing human trafficking. And this is your time, your opportunity to start asking questions. If you know your homeboy is not cute and he got mad good looking women coming over all the time, he all of a sudden has money, he's hanging out with a bunch of guys with tattoos and they driving Lamborghinis, investigate his ass, because he's not pulling dimes just because he has a nice personality. He may be into something a little shady. So start looking at his pizza boxes, seeing his inboxes, seeing how much money he got fluctuating in. All of a sudden he wearing a robe with no shirt on, with his dick hanging out. Scoundrel.
Oh God, just a man in a robe. I don't know. Even when my husband wears a robe, I'm like, don't wear the robe.
I'm like, who you trying to impress? What you got going on over there?
Well, you should be impressing me around the house. That's what I think. And the robe is not doing it for me. Definitely not that kind of a robe. But it is the most fuck around and find out. The most just like telling on yourself. He did it to himself. You did it to yourself, bro. But no, he says, and this is just before we wrap. He says the Matrix sent their agents. Chloe, did you know the Matrix?
Let me say something.
Did you know the Matrix has agents like the fictitious series, the movie series?
What's so crazy is like, how do you blame the Matrix on you being a human trafficker? And you talk about it, you detail how you swindle these women into coming into your fold.
Right. You've made a killing. You've made money off of saying how you swindle them and how you convince them to basically be trafficked, which is like, yeah, no. I'm sure there was nothing coercive about that. It was all because of the size of your disgusting pecs and all of the, fucking whatever juicing you've been doing.
Yeah, gross, disgusting to think.
Sometimes pecs are like a sign of a predator. That's what I just want to say. Sometimes when sometimes when someone looks too creepily good, I'm like, I don't like any of that. I think it's weird.
It's about the posture. Like if you like that fake man, like I don't work out, but I'm carrying my chest like I work out. You know what I mean? Where it's like the shoulders.
He has like the ripply anyway. It's like when the pecs have like they're like it's like sinewy or like fibrous. I don't know. It was disgusting. Anyway, final word, Greta Thunberg. This is what happens when you don't recycle your pizza boxes.
Yeah. Thank you, Greta. That's an own.
And we're done. And back to stopping climate collapse.
Yeah.
Well, with that, let's bring in my guest. Let's move on in. Wait. This is the one interstitial I've got right. What do veterans movements think of January 6th? We're 2 years out from it. We have heard from a lot of pundits about it. We've heard from people who study extremism about it. We've heard from Donald Trump and right-wingers about January 6th, but who's actually listening to vets who are fighting for a better world? This is The Sitch. Hey, and joining me for The Sitch, political director of Common Defense, a grassroots group organizing progressive veterans to stand up against the rising tide of racism, hate, and violence, Naveed Shah. Naveed, how are you?
Doing great. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh my God, thank you for being here. So first of all, tell me, for people who don't know, what is Common Defense?
So Common Defense is a progressive veterans group. It actually started because a bunch of veterans were protesting outside of Trump Tower in 2015. And they were like, you're an Army vet? I'm an Army vet. And got together and created Vets Against Trump. And then, they moved that, it became a movement. And once he got elected, unfortunately, they were like, okay, this can't just be a flash in the pan. This needs to be a sustained movement. So they founded Common Defense right after that. And we've been going strong ever since. We were proud to be there for both of his impeachments, pushing hard to get those across the finish line. And, what we've also been doing really more than anything is we're a grassroots group. We look for folks that are aligned with us as progressives, as veterans, and train them on how to become activists, how to become advocates for their communities, and get them out, to be the leaders that many of our communities need. So it's
Yeah.
been really great. I've been with the organization for 3 years now, and it's the best job I've ever had.
Tell me about yourself. Like, how did you get involved and why? You know, veterans are often sort of falsely lauded and assumed to be on the right? You know, and they're lauded by Republicans, and people don't always hear from, or the voices of progressive veterans are not always lifted up. So yeah, tell me about how you got involved.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the biggest misconceptions. The fact of the matter is that the fastest growing segment of veterans are actually women and minorities. So the veterans who are coming out of the military today are more likely to look like us on this podcast or video than anyone else than you would think of as like Captain America, right? So that's the biggest change that's happening. And as that change is happening, people are bringing their own backgrounds and lived experiences and the entire narrative around who is a veteran, who is an American, who's allowed to wear the flag and use that as in their patriotism is changing. And so that's one of the big things that Common Defense has been working on, is making sure that veterans who are like us know that they have the opportunity to speak up. What really has happened over the last, so many years is that there's a very loud but vocal minority that has stood up and has taken that mantle of, I'm a veteran and you must be this way in order to be a veteran. But that's just not the case. And so that's really where we're coming from. I'm an Army veteran. I served in Iraq in 2009 and 10. And I joined Common Defense in 2018 because I saw this happening. I felt like veterans were being left out of the conversations. Veterans were being, and military families were being used as props when some politician needed them, but they weren't really listening to us, and they definitely weren't addressing our needs. And so that's really what drove me to join Common Defense and eventually join the team.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I remember, I mean, I think that it was really interesting. I can't remember the details, but do you remember the first vet that the family of a soldier who passed, I believe, was in Afghanistan, and Trump called the family and was like incredibly disrespectful, or just, it was like just a horrible phone call. Like, that was the beginning of his presidency, and ending with him at World War II memorial saying, these guys are losers. Why would you fight for your, basically, why would you fight for your country, and also misunderstanding the Second World War, or maybe not, right? It felt like a perfect bookend to a guy who, and a political movement that has no respect for real vets.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Trump started his campaign. He skipped one of the first debates and said, instead of going to the debate, I'm going to donate all this money to veterans groups. I don't know what those two things had to do with each other now, but I'm sure it made sense. And one of the first things that Common Defense did was like, wait, which veterans groups did he donate to? And it turned out he did not make a single donation to any veterans groups. So, of course, like as expected, right? And that really has carried over. You saw him do things that not only like disrespected veterans or military members, but then elevate people like Eddie Gallagher, war criminals, and put them on a pedestal instead of honoring troops who serve their country. It's really terrible situation, and we see this all the time from the other side, that they will use the military and veterans as props when it suits them, but pay lip service to what they actually need.
How does your membership, and how do you feel maybe about a group like the Oath Keepers, right? This is a group that is popular. I mean, has become well known because of Trumpism and Trump and their role in January 6th and their role, I believe, also in Charlottesville. But that the oath is the oath to serve and protect their country and the Constitution, and their former military members, service members. And they're using their cachet as vets to basically engage in an extremist white nationalist movement. Like, do you all want to be a counter to that? And have you interfaced with them at all?
Yeah, so we haven't had to deal with the Oath Keepers directly, and we don't want to. I think they, they're one example of a large number of like extremist right-wing militias that are cropping up. And what they do is they do go looking for veterans and military members to recruit because of their, not only military skills, but leadership skills. And because they want to fill their ranks with people, and they try to, brainwash them and find folks who are disaffected from their service in the military. And that's another reason why we started Common Defense, because we know that this is a real thing that happens when you leave the military. Is you lose that sense of family, that sense of camaraderie that you have with your unit. And so for folks who are looking for a political home, it's not hard to get pulled one direction or the other. And so we want to show folks that you have alternatives, and you don't necessarily have to be on the left or on the right. You can find your own way, but don't go down that path of extremism, which, as we saw, we're coming up on the 2-year anniversary, leads to an insurrection at the Capitol.
That's a really important point about lack of community, right? And like that, I think that the one thing from speaking the vets that I've spoken with, and particularly those who are like against the forever wars, against, the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan in which they served, is like the only thing that they miss and the only thing that they were really fighting for was one another. And like that, brotherhood, although it's broader than that, right? That sense of community was the only thing that they were in it for, and the only thing they miss maybe from it. So that's a really interesting point that you made. And it's like, yeah, they're finding it here, but they're, a lot of vets are being radicalized. Are you guys trying to be like a counter to that? Like, I guess what I mean is there is there's another community out there. It doesn't have to all be about like,
because both groups are pretty much like disenfranchised, right? Like you went into the service for one reason and you come out feeling like you were misled, but then you can go in either direction. And I think that's interesting. It's like you have people who come from the same experience, but yet some gravitate towards one group and then some gravitate towards. And so Naveed, what would you say is like the reason or like the fork in the road that lends someone making a path choice?
It's hard to say exactly where it is. And this is something that a lot of folks have been studying actually recently, especially more so since the insurrection on the Capitol, because it is a real problem that the military has faced for a long time. This is not new, right? I'm sure, I think we're all three of us are old enough to remember like Timothy McVeigh in Oklahoma City, right? Like that was a similar situation. He was radicalized either in the service or immediately after. And there are other cases of situations like that. So there are folks who are studying how that happens, and I can't speak to it myself, but what I do know is what we try to do is find folks as they're leaving the service and bring them in and just show them like, these are the issues that you care about. These are the ways that you can talk about them, and talk about your service and not feel like you have to hide who you are. I mean, I remember going back to 2018, I was knocking on doors, to get out the vote. And I met a guy who served in Vietnam and took his uniform off when he came home and never talked about his service again. He said, no one's reached out to me like this until you came and knocked on my door. Wow. Right. So there are so many vets out there, 20 million or so that don't, and not all of them, actually, not even the majority of them are right wing. They just need someone to reach out to them. And that's what we're trying to do.
Totally. And it's obviously like, I mean, I think that's the question. That's generally the need for grassroots organizing on the left anyways, because we know the right is organized and we know that they are weaponizing the trauma, the lack of care, the VA being in disarray and or like not covering what they need to be covering, the bills and the, all the policies that folks are fighting for. Like they're using that to say, no, we're recruiting over here. Change that anger and that, that your mental health, spin it into hatred. And you're totally right about like probably the people coming out who are going the other way are most likely Black and brown people of color, immigrants, So as a vet looking at January 6th, the stats around Jan 6, and I think maybe you know them better than I, but it's like, a huge percentage of the rioters were former service members. There was like a woman in the Air Force. There was a lot of folks, and you had them brutalizing Capitol Police, as I say, blue on blue crime. Like it very much was like, which law and order are we talking about? Which protection of which constitution? Because like these are people in uniform facing down with one another. How do you in Common Defense sort of see January 6th, and how did that strike you?
Yeah, I mean, it was a scary day for sure. I'm based here in DC, and so it was. I went to school at UVA, and so when I saw what happened in Charlottesville, That was one thing. And then to see it happen again here in DC, I was like, what the hell is going on with our country? It was really scary. And
Yeah.
I can say that I think the stats were like, I don't remember exactly, but it was like between 12 to 20% of the folks who were eventually arrested for January 6th either had some sort of service either in the military or law enforcement, which
Right.
is, terrifying. And that it just goes back to show you exactly what they do with their rhetoric is that, it's all about back the blue and support the police until it comes time that they're facing the police, and it's like, oh well, we're gonna attack them violently just like we would anybody else. They only use that rhetoric when it serves them, and they don't mean anything by it. They just want to use it for their own purposes.
Right.
And when it comes down to it too, like the veterans who were there, they were for sure. They were like the Oath Keepers were there, as we saw. They got convicted. Actually, at least one of the Capitol rioters has been elected to Congress now. Derek Van Orden from Wisconsin's 3rd. It was a former Navy SEAL, and he breached the Capitol barricades. And now as of whenever they get done with this mess that they're doing today,
Right.
he's gonna be sworn into Congress.
That is a crazier story than George Santos. I mean, say what you will about Santos, he did not storm the Capitol.
Right. And that's the crazy thing is that I think the stat is like 70% of the Republicans who are being sworn into this Congress have at some point denied the 2020 election. So they deny the election, but they don't deny the election that they won. That one's fine, but this one they have a problem with.
Of course.
And so you can't, govern when you don't fundamentally believe in the government that you're supposed to be serving it.
Picking up on that thread of like extremism and recruitment, if Common Defense were in charge, let's say Biden administration is like, I'm tapping Common Defense. You're the political director, Naveed. Help me. We know we have an extremism problem with, in the military. How do you begin to stamp that out?
I mean, I think it starts at the top. This kind of violent rhetoric that we've heard from people like Lauren Boebert and Marjorie Taylor Greene and even Matt Gaetz and Paul Gosar and so many others in Republican leadership, they need to be the first to be kicked out. They shouldn't be able to serve in the government they don't believe in. And secondly, they need to, leadership, whether it's Kevin McCarthy or whoever it ends up being, needs to stay that we're not going to let members talk like this. We're not going to let members put down people of different races or creeds or religions, and we're not going to allow this kind of violent rhetoric to be espoused from this chamber.
Right.
That's what it comes down to, because when they do that, and then you have like lone wolf attacks like we saw in Buffalo and like we saw in El Paso, those people are radicalized. They're not just radicalized online in on forums like Reddit or 4chan or whatever. They're radicalized by hearing their own members of Congress say that everyone coming across the border is an illegal criminal. Like that affects people, and so it really needs to start at the top. First thing is they need, and that's one of the reasons that Common Defense is here in DC this week. We're bringing our members in from across the country to meet with their members of Congress as they're getting sworn in, and talking to them about these issues and making sure that they know that whether they are Republican or Democrat, we are their constituents and they ultimately serve us, and they need to make sure that they uphold their end of the oath of office that they're about to take.
Yeah. Can you tell me more about Courage for America, which I know Common Defense is part of?
Absolutely. So Courage for America is a partnership that we're doing in response to the 118th Congress. As this mess of a shit show has already started, we are preparing to respond to all the things that they're going to be doing. We know, especially as we're approaching the 2-year anniversary of the insurrection, that it's critical for our elected leaders to condemn violence and ensure that we have a peaceful transfer of power, both for this election cycle and for the next presidential election cycle. So this week, Common Defense and Courage for America are launching a letter. We're going to be delivering that to members of Congress, which is signed by thousands of our members, as well as former Capitol Police Officer Michael Fanone, who was injured in the Capitol riots and testified in front of the January 6th committee.
Yes. Yeah. Fanone, sort of like the no bullshit, I'm not going to like keep up with, decorum on this national stage. I'm going to call it what it is. What do you call them? Like cowards, idiots.
And I think that's the language we have to start using, because For the most part, the common American viewer gets lost in like political language, and like you have to be able to call people out on their bullshit in real time, because that's what we respond to. And I think that's why Greta's tweet went so viral, because it's like, I'm dealing with an idiot, and let me talk to an idiot in a language that they understand. And a lot of times with like politicians and all of these like these things that happen, it's like, here, real quick story, anecdotal story. I live in Los Angeles, right? And I voted in the election, a mayoral election. And all these like propositions and things. And the language is so jargon heavy that it took me like 45 minutes to research what they were actually saying.
Yeah.
And one of the propositions that they wanted you to vote on was whether or not you thought homeless people should have a place to live. Legit. Like that was what, like, do you think we should fund housing for homeless people? And like, if
Right.
you don't know the language, if you don't research it, you're going to think, well, I didn't vote for that proposition. You're voting to not give people in need millions of dollars for their daily lives. And so I think when we attack these people with all of this, you know, high road language, it's like, you got to hit them where it hurts. And I think we got to bring back like common, regular old fighting words.
Right.
Yeah, that's one thing that veterans are really good at, is just cussing up a storm. So that's one of the things that I've been working hard to stop. But yeah, we will definitely be doing it this
You're
week.
like, it doesn't translate in the soundbite.
Yeah.
But you can do it here on the show.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really important. And I think it's you know, obviously veterans, again, get overlooked and also weaponized for bad, obviously. Is there anything else you wanted to add in terms of, I don't know, maybe thoughts on like going forward with like hopes for the Biden administration on foreign policy and sort of veterans issues, and like, I know you guys believe in ending the so-called forever wars, which is basically, you know, ending the war on terror. Is there things you're hopeful for when it comes to this next year?
Yeah, you know, it is. There's definitely a lot going on, and I have 3 kids myself. My son is a freshman in high school now, and think about, you know, I was only 4 years older than him when I joined the Army.
Wow.
Would I want him to do that, right? And you got to look at, you know, the forever wars are scary, that they're still going on. I served in Iraq in 2010. We're coming up on the 20th anniversary. We still have troops stationed there in 20 years later. And what have we accomplished? And what are we going to accomplish? And, you know, we were really glad that President Biden was, you know, went through with the withdrawal from Afghanistan. Unfortunately, the evacuation was not executed as well as it could have been. And that was rough. That was rough. We lost 13 Marines there, you know, at Abbey Gate. And ever since then, the Afghan interpreters who you know, I served in Iraq, but many of my friends who served there in Afghanistan we promised them that we're not going to leave you behind. We never leave anyone behind. We're going to take care of you. And we really are letting them down right now because we weren't able to pass the legislation we needed to make sure that they are supported as they are evacuating. We brought 80,000 of them here, including their families, and they right now are kind of sitting in limbo.
Right.
So I'm hopeful that President Biden and that maybe this Congress will get something done around that. But
that would be
first,
yeah, because it wasn't.
Yeah, they have to elect a speaker.
Yeah. And the vote has failed again. Yeah, we will see what's going on. They might have to open up that jar that I was talking about with that dust off some old ass Republican. But yeah, exactly. The Afghan interpreters have been now denied a pathway to citizenship or just legal stay, I believe, in the United States. Well, great. Evacuated, and for what? So anyway, is there anything else you wanted to add, Naveed?
Yeah, you know, last thing I'll say is we're here this week with Common Defense and Courage for America, and we encourage all of our veterans, military family members, even civilian supporters, like, to check us out at commondefense.us and sign up. I mean, you can sign a letter if you want still, that is going to be going out this week, but we can continue to add names. We would love to have everyone's support.
I love it. Oh my God. Thank you so much. And thanks for being there, not letting up on the first week of this new Congress. Hit them hard.
Cuss their asses out.
Yes.
Yep.
Cuss their asses out. Because what we respond to. A lot of small dick energy there on the Hill. Thank you so much, Naveed. Everybody check out commondefense.us. And we have one more segment. I was made privy to a new trend online by producer Paige, who is far younger and more hip than I am. And it is that we're doing a thing now, Chloe, where things are in 2023 and they're out. I'm not explaining this. Things are now in that were not in last year.
Yeah.
And now they're in. So what is in for you? What is out for you? What is in for America? What's out for America? Here is in. Let's hope this works. Ins and outs. Yeah. All right. Ins and outs. What is in for you? What is out for you? I could start.
Yeah.
I don't know. I made a short list. I made a list for cops out. Let's just start there. Cops out. Mental health care workers in.
Yeah. I fully support that. Because cops really, I know people, cops really don't solve crime, y'all. I don't know if y'all know that they don't.
No, podcasts solve crime.
Yeah. Podcasts and Black women in Indiana who tracked down that missing 5-month-old twin boy when the police could not.
There you go.
Yes.
Exactly. That is for America. I think Q is out. Q is out in 2020. Q, so done. Let's go with P. P is good.
Yeah.
I'm
with it.
I don't know. Just pick that letter.
I'm with it.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see what it leads to. Anything else? I have a lot for me personally.
Okay.
Chloe.
For America, I would say interjecting other people's wars, I think, is out. I think that needs to be out.
Intervening in other people's wars.
Yes.
Oh, I have bad news for you, Chloe.
I know it's never going to happen. Because we saw the wars. You see, this is the thing that cracks me about Americans. People don't understand why everybody hates us. When you travel outside of America, everybody hates us. And we don't understand why.
No.
It's because, okay, so this is the best way to explain it. America has gone to other countries and created hundreds, if not thousands, of Banes. If you watch like the Dark Knight series. So if you create a Bane and they grow up and they have people who back them up and now they hate America, that's a pretty valid reason to hate America.
Bane, yeah.
There's a
Also,
lot of
we're
Banes.
loud. We're really loud tourists. I just want to say.
And rude, loud and rude.
But we tip.
No, not necessarily.
I mean,
not necessarily. It depends on the country
about
you're
tipping.
In.
Yeah, that's true.
And then they leave $1, which is like insulting.
Okay, so what's in? If that's out, what's in for you think for America?
I would say orgies. I think orgies are going to come back strong. 2023. American orgies, like key parties, all that stuff. I think that's all coming back.
I love that. So out. War, meddling in other people's wars, in orgies. That's perfect.
Yeah, bring all that energy home. Bring it home.
Exactly. Stop. Stop outsourcing the people. Bring them to the party. I love it.
Bring a party.
For me, I've got a bunch of these. Okay, I just had this sweet oatmeal out. Savory oatmeal in. Savory steel cut oats. Girl, so yummy and very filling. And I'm eating a lot of oats because apparently it helps your breast milk. It's all sad. It's all related to me being.
They have like cookies for that. You can get like lactate cookies and all that stuff. They have a bunch of stuff.
Cookies nonstop.
No, but they help you lactate more, like all the breast milk stuff. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there. I have no kids, but I have people who have.
I've got to get on that. Okay, water bottles are out. Sippy cups.
Oh, that's good.
Don't I look super cool?
You know, I want one that's like a flat one that when you put liquid in it, it expands, and that way you can just like have a pouch somewhere on your body with like a straw.
One of those little ones. Oh yeah,
like a runner pouch with hydration.
Like Camel pack.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like put it in my butt so it just like fills me out a little bit.
I can't.
I'll just sip right out of that. What about for you personally? What's in, what's out?
Personally, photo reels, anything like photo montages online are out for me. I'm done. I'm actually going old school. I'm printing out photos and hanging them on my wall in my house. Yes.
Ooh, love it.
So I say you can go on any website like Kodak, Shutterfly. This is not an ad, but like the pictures that you love, we don't get to see them because they're on our phone. And last year I lost my phone and I lost some pictures that really like, damn, I wish I had those photos. So like print them out, put them up on a wall, little photo booth, even get a digital frame. It could like, just so you can see the pictures that you took. So photo reels out, actual hard copy photos hang up on the wall. And
I love that. I agree. I like that a lot. I got some of those Christmas cards up and I was like, that's so cute to see people I love. I will take those down in about a week and they will be recycled. But spike seltzers are out for me. I don't know more. Spike seltzers done. In Wisconsin old fashions, which is an old fashioned with brandy, which is the best old fashioned. Yes, it is. It's so good. I was in Wisconsin. I was doing a comedy show for Lady Parts Justice League, Abortion AF. And they were like, I was like, what's a Wisconsin old fashioned? And they were like, oh, it's just with brandy. I'm like, yes, please. And it is so fucking good. And then I started making them at home. So that's in. How about great abs are out? In a kangaroo pouch, just a little pouch. Because that's what I have right now.
Yeah, like the old Renaissance paintings with the lady with the soft pooch, which is
little
like
pooch
on the shade with like a little pooch.
Yes, pooch
in,
abs out.
A pussy pillow. I get it. I'm with it.
Anything else for you?
I would say concerts are out.
Ooh, hard one.
And yeah, concerts are out. I don't want to do concerts.
I mean, after Ticketmaster
and like COVID and just like, I've been scarred. Like, I feel like being in a space with that many people really freaks me out. If I'm there, I need to be clear near like an exit. But what's in for me is going to the museum on edibles. Take an edible, go to the museum, walk around for like 4 hours, 5 hours, best day of your life.
4 hours in a museum. I guess I've never been high, or I've not been high enough in museums, but museums and me, I'm like, I got an hour in me tops.
No, because when you listen, I took an edible and watched Cats and I understood the movie. Okay. It made sense to me. I understood what the trials and tribulations.
That's the only way you should watch Cats.
The only way you should watch Cats. I mean, it's creepy. It's creepy because it's like anatomically incorrect biped
it's
cats.
The uncanny valley, right?
Yes. But if you go take a nice edible or some CBD or whatever, go into a museum and just like enjoy it. And then you start to like understand what people are seeing, even though art is true. Like art is like the old school NFTs. Like people just give a value to it and they buy it, swap it around their friends. And try. Yeah. So, but you can enjoy it.
All right, people, what's in for you? What's out for you? I still love concerts, but I went to a Catronata concert. I mean, a show a year ago on Halloween, and I was the only person wearing a mask. Like, yes, no, like absolutely the only person. I danced the whole time with a mask on. Yeah, it was great. And I was the only one dressed as a Squid Game. But also I'm Asian, so I could get away with it. And everyone was like, who's gonna? Which I think that's so dumb. In terms of, it's not like you're doing like yellow face. You can dress up as the Squid Game contestant and it's not anti-Asian. You don't have to be Asian to dress up as something that's like not real. Just don't paint your face a different color.
It's just all you gotta do. Just don't paint your face.
Here's a question for you, Chloe. And this is something you could just be honest with me. Yeah. Could I ever go as Beyonce for Halloween?
Yes, just don't paint your face.
No, of course I would not. But you still think I could? I couldn't, obviously, like, what do I do about hair? Could I wear
you wear wigs. She wears wigs. You wear wigs.
I understand. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I
get the little cutoff shorts, the little high boots with the tassels on it, the little homecoming sweatshirt. Yes. Yeah, you could do all of that.
Okay.
I dressed up as Madonna as a kid. Are you kidding me?
Of course. All right. Good to know. Beyonce will be coming at you at some point. And we'll see if I have my Camelback water to fill me out a little bit. Chloe Hilliard, it's always a pleasure. It has
Thank
been
you
too
for having
long, but
me.
she's
Yes, it
booked
has.
and busy, and she's wonderful. And where can people find you and follow your work?
Absolutely. You can find me. All my handles are right here on the screen. Chloe_Hilliard on Twitter and Instagram. I'm not on TikTok because they always flag my comedy content and take it down. So I'm not engaging with TikTok.
You just must talk about Palestine all the time, right?
Listen, I get flagged for everything. I might as well talk about Palestine because the way they be taking my shit down, they take it down.
They really do. It's I don't have the energy to get around the censors. I'm like, I don't know. I'm gonna swear.
Yeah, and
Who
it's like
cares?
I'm not gonna fight you to put up comedy content and you steal all of my data. Like, let me
Right, to
get
give
off of
you
here.
free shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Chloe, be very well. Thank you so much for joining
Thank
me.
you.
Everybody, Chloe
Thank you,
Hilliard.
everyone.
Take good care. And thank you all for being here. You're amazing. First show of the year in the books, almost. We got bonus content. We're talking about Brazil. Let's look at Bolsonaro eating a chicken wing. You don't want to miss this. Dory B on Twitch. Santos declaring he has the vote sounds reasonable, giving his rack of lies. Yeah. The dog and cat bandanas, please. Oh, Matt Gates on White Bronco wants bandanas for animals that have the Bitchuation Room logo, I guess, or maybe the Frantifa logo. You tell me which one. Roller Dragon, you should have Lance from the Surfs on. Great suggestion. Thank you. Alex Amaris, the music is sort of a superhero movie now. It is. It's like it's a little bit like news anchor meets trap. Like there's a trap beat in anyway. It's great. Love you, DJ Real. Martin, oh, I flagged this. What's the word on you taking over the Daily Show? And by flagged, I mean highlighted. They haven't called yet. Should I call? Beep boop pop pop. Trevor? Jeff Curry, big cigar, robe, takeout pizza. That's class right there. Exactly. I mean, if he had been like cooking, I'd have been like, all right. He's a piece of shit, but he can cook. Terrence Trumbo, dig the new newsy music. Hell yeah. Charlie chuckles at laughter at Francesca's Tate impersonation. Hilarious. Everything's songs about rainbows on Twitch. Please bring Chloe on every week. Put it on your schedule, Chloe. Thank you. Pitchfork Dragon. I'm going to read this as Andrew Tate. Fun fact, if you draw a line from Northern California all the way to across North Carolina, everything under that line will have severe weather this week. Tornadoes, floods, hurricanes, and blizzards. And all of that is part of the matrix that they are tricking you into believing exists. And what you have to do is convince women that you're rich and then not let them leave your home. So that's how you get out of that storm. Eileen Posner on YouTube. Greta needs a dunk on every Republican every week in a major way, just so I can hear Franny imitate her more. How dare you? I'm actually not that good at doing an accent because it turns more British than anything. Bad Fetch says, thank you for highlighting this important topic that is about the veterans' rights. Groove Dragon says, Russia out of Ukraine. Yes, Russia, get the fuck out of Ukraine. And with that, let's get the fuck out of here with the fart song. Yay. Thank you guys so much. Oh yeah, Kevin McLeod making his return. And with that, thank you, Nepo Baby Dragon, for upping your pledge to $10, you glorious human being. Thank you, Dr. Silverback, for upping your pledge to become part of the innermost cabal. Dr. Silverback, you're amazing. I owe you a video. Thank you. So much love. Oh my God, you have no idea. Thank you to all of the new Twitch subs. We got a hype train going. Thank you to Elitoile Black Dragon for cheering your bits, for Rose Alba cheering 95 bits, Late Bloomer cheering 500 bits. Holy Magoli. I just said Magoli. Late Bloomer 66 for resubscribing at 1 month tier 1, 18 months subscribe. Depressed Progressive resubscribing. Subscribe for 18 months as well. Elitoile Black Dragon is resubscribing to 5 months you've been subscribed. Thank you so much. And Purple Lioness Also subscribing with Prime. Welcome to the fam, to the Frantifa. I'm just me cheering 50 bits. Thank you so much. Saying I had to give my son a haircut. That's very important. 50 bits for the baby. Thank you so much. I need the bits. I need every bit. Willie Gus resubscribing. Patty Pagan subscribe for 1 month at tier 1. Welcome to the Frantifa. Triptych00 subscribe with Prime. Welcome. Thank you guys so much. We stream every Tuesday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Thanks to my producer, Paige, Maximillien Inhoff on the other side of YouTube, Andy Vasoyan, my editor, and Alexandra Ornes, who does some social media for me. Next week, we've got a great show. We also have January 22nd, live, San Francisco. Get your tickets, sfsketchfest.com. And remember, fight the power. Fuck the patriarchy. I spit a little bit. And don't just bitch about it. Don't just spit about it. Be about it. Bye.